Hola amigos y amigas de Planeta Wrestling, bienvenidos nuevamente a este espacio donde estaremos conversando con un nuevo luchador que accedió al llamado. En esta oportunidad tenemos la compañía de Ninja Mack, luchador de Pro Wrestling Noah y actual GHC Hardcore Champion. Hey Ninja, welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Hola, how's everything going over there? Everything well?
Yeah, it's a little bit sunny. We are in spring too, so should be a nice Sunday afternoon.
Where are you in Mexico? Where in Mexico are you?
No, I'm in Spain right now. I'm in Madrid.
Oh, phenomenal. I'm sorry.
We wanted to ask you some questions about your career and about you in in your personal life. So we will start with the beginnings of your career. So when did you decide to become a professional wrestler?
Well, when I was in college, I actually left college to join the circus. I wanted to pursue an entertaining career. I felt like more of my interest. So once I joined the circus, I actually met an independent professional wrestler on my last circus tour, and he kind of talked me into looking into wrestling. I was always a fan of pro wrestling. I grew up watching WWF, WCW, and AAA. You know, just living in Texas, AAA was on Telemundo all the time, and just being a fan of it. And then in school, I was actually an amateur wrestler. So once he kind of sparked my interest in actually getting into the business, he told me that one of the best locations was Booker T's Reality Wrestling, and that's actually my hometown, Houston, Texas. So
Mhm.
once I finished that tour, I gave a quick phone call to Reality Wrestling. I got in touch with now their producer. At the time, I believe he was working his way up to becoming producer, Kevin Bernhardt. And he brought me in. I met Booker T, and from that day forward, I never looked back at going to the circus. I really felt like professional wrestling was the way to go for me.
Yes, we remember that you debuted as a wrestler in Reality of Wrestling, and you have been trained by people important in the industry like Booker T or Loki, but you didn't wrestle much over there. So, how was your experience in your first years of your career?
Just like Booker T Reality Wrestling is treated like a NXT. It's a bring people in to teach them the business, to teach them the camera side of the business also. So my
Mhm.
first year and a half to 2 years of pro wrestling, I was put into a group to where when you're in a group, you're a little limited because there's so many people in the faction, but it gave you the opportunity to be by ringside, to learn from the guys that have been there, to learn from Booker T. And even though it was just a handful of matches at Booker T's, I was able to get endless amounts of information, and it's really helped me progress. Even till this day, some of that information I keep.
Awesome. I remember watching some of your matches, specifically during the pandemic, and I believe that's something I believe, like personally, that you made it big during the pandemic. You went viral so many times with some of your crazy moves, and you started working with GCW, and GCW is like king and queen of the indies in America. So, how do you feel about working with Game Changer Wrestling?
Yes, I took a bad situation in the pandemic, and when I was actually not wrestling at the time, but when the pandemic hit, I stopped working at the job I had previously, and while there was no chance of working, I started training again in Houston with some of the guys that helped create local wrestling, lowrider Mr. Pedro and Jaime Martinez, the owner of Local Wrestling, and I kind of fell back in love with pro wrestling and being out of Booker T's wrestling and out of the lucha scene. I had the knowledge of what I wanted to do, but now I had the freedom to do what I wanted. So when I was able to come back as a ninja, and that's what I originally pursued myself to be. Local wrestling really helped me, and that's when GCW saw me on some of the clips with Wrestling with Unicorns at one of our local wrestling shows. And to the credit of Jimmy Lloyd. Jimmy Lloyd saw one of the clips go viral, sent it over to Joey Janela, and sent it over to Brett Lauderdale, and they invited me to that Tampa WrestleMania weekend, and that's when I did my first match for GCW at Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F. And then since then, GCW is such a phenomenal company. They open the doors and they welcome me anytime I come back. I have nothing but great things to say about GCW. They really helped me take off and gave me a platform to showcase my abilities.
That's awesome to hear. And we hope that you have the chance to come over to GCW more often because it's always special when you guys wrestle over there. The crowd is it's insane also. You also had the chance to compete in Mexico and in Europe. So how do you describe those experiences?
Traveling international countries for me, being from America, was something phenomenal. I actually, when I was finishing up at Booker T's learning, being from Texas, I had a handful of matches with a bunch of luchadors that really fit my style, and I got to travel in Mexico a lot before I even became the Ninja character. So the opportunity to wrestle for AAA, to go over to Europe and wrestle in WXW, and even recently I wrestled for the Crash in Tijuana. It's so phenomenal just to travel and experience worldwide wrestling, and then even just to take international cities and countries, and it's very humbling and it's beautiful to see.
Yes, it expands your horizons. It makes you learn new styles. Hopefully, we have the chance later in your career to see you coming over to Spain. Now the scene here is really hot. Even Repro came here some weeks ago, so it would be nice to have you.
Oh, I'd love to be. I've never been to Spain yet. That's one. I've been to a lot of countries, but Spain is one of them I'd really love to visit, and even just wrestling.
I want to talk about your experience in Japan. You've been in Dragon Gate. Now you are a regular and even a champion in pro wrestling now. So can you tell us about this experience?
Yeah, well, 2 years ago I came to Japan. I signed a contract with Pro Wrestling Noah. So when I was wrestling with Dragon Gate, I was under Pro Wrestling Noah. I was representing Pro Wrestling Noah, and just like I said with Mexico and Europe, to really travel to another country, and honestly, this is the first time I've been able to live in another country and wrestle consistently for a major promotion. It's phenomenal. The Japanese culture is amazing, a very clean and respectable culture,
Mhm.
and they're so giving and helpful for me here.
Your style is similar to the luchadors or Mexican style, or what it's assumed to be Mexican style, like high flying and stuff like that. So uh, there's um, there's this Japanese side of wrestling that really enjoys this. So you are a really important figure over there now, and as a champion, you won the hardcore title, Noah. So how do you feel? Or how do you feel actually when you won the championship?
It was phenomenal. It's always a great feeling to come out victorious and to come out victorious on the championship side. When I beat Hayata for the junior championship, my first championship run, that was an amazing feeling, being the 50th junior heavyweight champion for Pro Wrestling Noah, and then for them to revitalize the hardcore openweight championship, and then to choose me to be the first challenger. Now, unfortunately, I lost to a very legendary wrestler in Tanaka on the first match, but I was able to rebuttal and capitalize the title on the second match. So to be able to represent Noah and be the hardcore open weight champion, it's dreams come true at the moment.
Now that you're a regular act in Noah, do you have um, a specific training partner, or do you have mates where that you usually hang out during the tours?
Yeah, so Noah does have a dojo. Um,
Mhm.
we are very fortunate. Kaito Kiyomiya, one of our junior or one of the aces of Noah, he actually helps train a lot of the young guys. And they say Gaijins, foreign talents are always welcome to go to young boy training every day. So that's always available for us to go and join. And Noah has such a loaded roster, even to train with Wagner Jr., who helps run a lot of the lucha classes. Just to help, I mean, the experience alone to train with him. Yeah, Daga is a great junior champion right now. He's in the ring training hard. I've had handfuls of matches with Dragonbane and Alpha Wolf, and to run by them and be able to train with them, those are some of the best luchadors in the world, in my opinion. So the 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 amount of talent at Noah and the training that's available is something spectacular that like I said, I try and capitalize in as much as I can.
It's great. You have really, really good partners. Kiyomiya, Wagner Jr., Daga, Los Golpeadores. They are fantastic. So you will keep growing. That's awesome. Continuing with last year, you had two matches in Ring of Honor. You wrestled uh, Willie Mack, and then you tag with Willie Mack. So, how was this experience of competing in this taping format? Because it's not live wrestling, but it's live wrestling at the same time. So, how do you feel?
I think starting at Booker T's Reality Wrestling prepared me to be able to wrestle for Ring of Honor just because it is a very TV oriented promotion. And in my first match with Willie Mack, I think even though we were opponents, we had such chemistry that Tony Khan didn't have a chance but to make us a tag team. And I know there was a lot of tweets and Instagram posts of return of the Mac. I think that could have been a great tag team going forwards. Just unfortunately, I am signed to Pro Wrestling Noah. So as much chemistry as Willie Mack and I had, and I think one day we can revisit that because it was such a great tag team and a great experience to share the ring with him because he's one of the a veteran, but one of the great wrestlers that's been around forever. That's something to look forward to in the future if it ever comes up again.
So, will you guys rock together? So, it will be really cool to have you have a tag team run maybe in the future. We don't know. Of the so many matches you had in 2023, is there anyone that you consider your favorite one?
Oh, that's a tough question. You
Mhm.
know, mm, I, I I would say in it was a loss for me, but it was my rematch for the junior heavyweight championship versus Hayata. I was unable to win, but the moment of me getting a rematch for the belt, him coming back from his injury when I broke his arm, I think everything lined up to where there was such a amount of buzz and we had such good chemistry in the ring. That match had every kind of style. It had wrestling, it had acrobatic, it had drama. That Hayata match was something phenomenal for me.
Awesome. Thanks for mentioning it. Hayata is such a wonderful wrestler. He's now the national champion, and you are the hardcore champion. So it's really cool that both of you have championships reigns at the same time. Maybe we get the chance to see you guys collide in singles action in the future. Also, do you have a favorite moment from last year?
I'd have to say, just being a favorite moment was winning that hardcore championship last year. Being able to redeem myself against Tanaka and Super Crazy in that second match to be the second hardcore openweight championship since its revival. I think that's got to be a favorite moment, being able to become a champion again.
It's awesome that you mentioned that because now what I wanted to ask is about your upcoming defense in WrestleMagic 2024 in May. You will be defending the championship against Shuji Ishikawa, who is a death match legend in Japan. So, what are your expectations for this match?
Hard hitting. It's going to be a very tough match. I know talking to Nozawa, who's the booker of Noah, I asked for a challenge. I wanted to challenge myself going forwards. They gave me Alpha Wolf as a match competitor. That was a tough match on Monday Magic alone, and then for the legend to come out. Uh, I thought it was going to be something nice, get a challenge. He shook my hand, and then for him to turn and spike me on my head at the end to announce he was going to challenge, it shows the character that he wanted to present. And now I need to step up. I need to answer. It is one of my toughest opponents. The guy's a giant. When you see him on TV, he looks big, but when you see him in person, he looks twice as big. So it's going to be my toughest challenge yet. But being the champion, I'm going to represent Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm going to go out and do my best. And then once I beat him, I'm off to Super Juniors for New Japan.
Yes, that's also a topic I would like to discuss. New Japan Pro Wrestling surprised the world, announcing Noah's wrestlers in this year's Best of the Super Juniors. It was not as a surprise because in the past they have had Noah wrestlers in the G1 Climax, but still, they announced uh, both you and Hayata. So what are your expectations for this tournament that is considered like the best tournament in the world for junior or light heavyweight wrestlers?
There's so many great competitors that go into that tournament that were at that tournament previously in previous years. My expectations is to go out and represent Pro Wrestling Noah and show the world why Pro Wrestling Noah has some of the best juniors in the world. I hold myself to a very high standard. I'm going to go out there and compete at the highest level every single match, the best I can, and we're going to see how the outcome comes.
Uh, I hope you have a successful defense in May against Ishikawa, and then you have a really cool run in the tournament because it's also a place to highlight yourself as a wrestler to the world. Now, going in this personal side of you, do you have any hobbies? Anything that you like outside wrestling?
Gambling. I'd like to consider myself a professional gambler. Uh, the ninja gimmick with the style I present.
Mhm.
I love to gamble, play cards, roll dice. But every time you step in that ring, it's a gamble. Also, you never know what's going to happen, so you're taking chances. And the comparison of wrestling and gambling to me is very much the same. So. Besides wrestling, I'd say my biggest hobby is gambling.
Great. Do you like any other sports or any other cultural activity that you can do in Japan, apart from the tours?
Oh, of course. So there's a and I don't know if it's considered a classified sport, but it's a mixture of breakdancing, martial arts, gymnastics. It's called tricking. You see a lot of tricking in movies. A lot of the action scenes in movies are used by trickers. So my hobby outside of wrestling and gambling would be tricking. It's something you can train in the streets. I can train in the dojo. I can train in the grass at a park. So in my free time, if I'm not training wrestling, if I'm not studying wrestling, and if I'm not gambling, I'm usually tricking. I do love all sports. I love soccer, football for the rest of the world, soccer in America. But I love football. I mean, I love baseball and basketball. I'm a very sport oriented person.
That's great to know. Now returning to this year, we are now after the tournament and after defending your championship. Do you have any dream opponent for this year?
So I returned back to America June 17th. My contract expires August 1st. Uh,
Okay.
when I'm in America, I am free to do outside of venues of NOAA, but at the moment I have not resigned another contract. So the opportunity to be able to wrestle someone like a Daniel Bryan in AEW. I think that'd be a dream match. I would really love to revisit Brian Cage in my first Ring of Honor show in 2022. I got my butt handed to me. That's another dream opponent of mine. And another opponent I really would like to get back into outside of a GCW show, maybe even at a AAA Mania show would be Vikingo. I think me and
Mm,
Vikingo could have another match that would just blow the roof off the door.
yeah, yeah. First of all, Brian Danielson, best wrestler in the world. I get that everybody wants to wrestle him, and you definitely will measure yourself in the ring with him, and you will learn a lot. Ryan Cage is another wrestler with a lot of experience in Mexico, so it will be really cool to have that rematch. And Vikingo with you in the ring, like that will be nuts. The crowd will be going crazy even before you guys enter to the ring, even before your music hits. So yeah, I will love that. Yeah. Is there any promotion that you haven't worked for so far that you would like to work this year?
Mm. I was only able to work AAA one time, but because I did work them one time, I'm not going to use them as an answer this time. But I've never worked with CMLL, so that's something that's crossed my mind. But I have worked with Ring of Honor, and I know Ring of Honor is now cooperation with AEW, but I've never had the fortunate chance to work AEW. So that's something that's always crossed my mind also. But I think the big dream would be NXT or WWE, to be able to. They're the biggest business for pro wrestling in the world, which means if they're the biggest business, they have the best pro wrestlers. And if they have the best pro wrestlers, and I want to become one of the best, you got to compete against some of the best. There's such good wrestling all around the world. I'm very open to working with the best athletes in the world, but if WWE has the biggest business, that means they have the best wrestlers.
Okay, that's an interesting way to put it actually. Uh, and like you said, uh, like your style will be really good either with CMLL or now that you have competed in ROH, you can go to AEW because they are owned by the same owner. And also WWE and NXT, um, like the biggest business, like you said, it's true. So there are the possibilities are unlimited. So I hope you have the chance to compete in many other promotions and keep learning and keep growing in the industry. Finally, do you have specific goals for this year?
I'm very in the moment, so I think my focus is on defending the hardcore championship. I think
Mhm.
that's such a big opponent for me right now that's taken a lot of my focus. And then within a week after that match, I'm off to Super Junior. So my focus is defending the hardcore championship, preparing for Super Juniors. I want to be in the best shape. I want to be on point with everything. And then after Super Juniors, I got the rest of the year to really consider on returning to Noah, maybe expanding and seeing what else is available out there. Like I said, I want to become better. I want to wrestle the best, and the only way to become better is to wrestle the best.
Yeah, that's the way. I agree with you. Also, I didn't ask this before, but now that the best of the Super Junior is coming, and we don't know that like the blocks division of the tournament yet, do you have any opponent from New Japan that you're looking forward to have a match with?
Doki.
Huh.
Uh, I feel like me and Doki. Actually, funny story. Going back to when I was at Booker T's Reality Wrestling, I had the chance to work a lot of lucha libre in Texas, and I
Uh-huh.
met Doki at a show in
Uh-huh.
Dallas called Martinez Entertainment. Phenomenal lucha show, and we actually were together in a match. It was a big multi-man eight match, but he headbutted me, and when he headbutted me, he split his own head open. So that scar on his forehead that you see, I don't know if you can see it anymore. That's actually from myself,
Oh,
and I think I'd like to revisit that.
oh, that's quite the story. So yeah, yeah, I will love to see you guys collide. Toki is Japonés del Mal. He has this luchador background in himself, in his style, in his character. So will be awesome.
Yeah, he's a tough opponent. He's very difficult, and I'm looking forward to getting better. And if he's a tough, difficult opponent, it's going to push me to become better and step up.
I wanted to ask you if you have Anything that you want to tell your fans over the world watching this?
Everyone should go out and subscribe to this channel. That's how we make our living, guys. Please go like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, thank you so much. um, Thank you for your time, Ninja. Uh, like I said before, I hope you have a successful defense of your championship in Wrestle Magic. Have an awesome run in the best of the Super Juniors, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this. It was fun, and you can bet that.
Ok, eso ha sido todo por hoy, amigos. Hasta la próxima.
Bye bye.